Master of Ceremonies, Governor General Sir Edmund Lawrence and Lady Lawrence, Deputy Governor General and Mrs. John, members of the National Assembly, members of the Diplomatic Corps, clergy, other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, well-wishers and supporters, and all the people of Nevis, the press, visitors, and I want to especially mention the newly inaugurated members of the administration, the Deputy Premier, the Honorable Mark Brantley, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, the Honorable Hazel Brandy, and the youngest of us all, the Honorable Uthant Troy Liebert. Were it not a service, I would have told you a little experience with Troy and myself, but that will come at another time. Let me also recognize all the members of the CCM Executive. And I do so because without a body to drive the leaders, really we could not get very far. So we must recognize those who are part of the team, although they are not part of the cabinet. And ladies and gentlemen, we have come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, leaning on the God of our fathers and the God of our mothers, who ordains and sustains all things. Let me, before I speak to you in any substance, thank the organizing committee, but especially the chairman of the Nevis Christian Council and the chairman of the Nevis Evangelical Association and their members, the pastors who participated and who organized with the organizing committee this service of thanksgiving and inauguration of the new government. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here today because we had an election just 3 days ago. And I speak to you in humble appreciation that we are here primarily through the intervention of Almighty God, what we call divine intervention. And we are here because so many persons, so many of you supported our call to protect our democracy, to protect our system of voting, to ensure that it was just, that it was fair, and also to protect our land from creeping dictatorship, so that we can live a peaceably and comfortable life, secure in the knowledge that our institutions, our constitution, and our laws will remain inviolate. I think it is important that we continue to assert that we are a country of laws, and that anyone who seeks to abrogate the laws, anyone who seeks to disregard the laws and the Constitution, must not be given any sanctuary in our country. We are also here today because of the overwhelming support and encouragement which we've had over the last 6.5 years. Because had we not had that encouragement and support, we might have just ridden off into the sunset, thrown our hands up. But with the challenges which we saw, we brought to you, the people of Nevis, and asked you to share our vision. Share the vision for the restoration of dignity. Share the vision for the restoration of a sense of pride in who we are, pride in our country, pride that we are people in Nevis who are intelligent, well-educated, and who, though patient, will not brook for too long anything which seeks to trample on our rights. We ask you to share our vision for the hope of a brighter today, a hope for a more secure future for ourselves and our children. And we do that because if we, as the trustees of our democracy, the trustees of the people's resources, do not do so and pass on to our posterity a wholesome, well-managed, disciplined country, then we shall have failed our children and failed ourselves. This vision which we shared with you, you embraced it. And then on the 22nd of January, you endorsed that vision in the elections, giving to this new administration a clear mandate to so direct and manage the affairs of this our island home in a manner which will engender trust, prudence, and which will give rise to those policies which will put the people of our country first and foremost. It is this people-centered leadership that we today hold out to you again, recognizing that it will enable all of us, citizens, residents, friends, visitors, from wherever you come, whatever race, whatever class, whatever creed, that you too can feel a sense of pride being part of this community. And that with that vision and our support from yourself, that we can restore confidence in ourselves, restore confidence in our business community, restore confidence in the private sector, because we depend on them in partnership to provide a new hope for the future. It is an inclusive policy which we hope will get the most out of this country through the total effort of everyone. We will provide, and we pledge ourselves to do so, the type of leadership which will engender a more harmonious society. One in which there will be respect for law and order, respect for the Constitution and the institutions of our country. One in which there will be zero tolerance for crime and violence. And I want all of you to share that vision, because our country over the past 10 years or so has been rifled, torn apart, made almost unstable because of rising crime. And I want to commend the police, because they will be our partners in this fight to ensure that we assume and reach to that zero tolerance, because if we are not a stable society, people will not be able to live in harmony, nor in comfort in their homes, nor will we be able to attract the level of investment we need to provide the jobs to provide the employment for people. Let me also say that you will embrace our vision as well, that those who perpetrate wrong must be prepared to face the consequences of their action. And today, as we come here to give God thanks and to establish ourselves as the government which you have elected to run your affairs, I ask you to become partners with government, each one in his village, each one in his home, partners with the administration and with the law enforcement to ensure that we do not retreat in the face of criminals or anyone who wants to violate the stability and the peace of our country. Our people-centered leadership pledge to provide for you the ability that we will seek ways and means to improve the quality of life for all our citizens. I mentioned earlier that we will partner with the private sector because the government as it stands now is fully maxed out in terms of employment. The reasons for that, I think, are well known. This is not the forum for that. So we need to have a responsive, a willing private sector which will partner with us as we chart that new course using the resources we have. And I want to say this to you, that our ability to deliver and to do well by all men, as we pledged, will come not from external sources, but will come from what is within us, the integrity which we possess, that leadership quality which we've asked you to trust and which you have, by your mandate, indicated that you will trust. We have to attract investment from both local and foreign sources so that we can see our level of economic activity rise again, so that we can have employment, so that we can have those who are employed have reasonably good wages and salaries, so that they can take care of the families. There should not be any need for people to become mendicants in this country. We've got a good country. We have a country which has good natural resources, a rich history, a rich heritage, capable people, educated, trainable. And I would venture to say that were we to take account that Nevis may be, even though we don't have a full-fledged university, but have just an open university branch of the University of the West Indies, that we may have and may be able to pride ourselves on having the greatest degreed persons per capita of all the countries in the region. This people-centered leadership will compel us to provide the most efficient and cost-effective services in health, in education, and to provide such important safety nets for all the people, but primarily our children and our youth who are vulnerable and who are pliable and who may be led astray. We have to protect them from that, being led astray by those who have no respect for anything but themselves and their ill-gotten activities. We must also look out for our seniors and other vulnerable citizens, because they have served our country well. It is now their time to live their twilight years in comfort, knowing that we do have a government which cares for people and will ensure that they are comfortable. When we decided some years ago to invest in the flamboyant home, it was not just something which happened. It was a specific purpose project. And I know that people enjoy it because it was created for them to enjoy. We also need to look out for our mentally and physically challenged citizens. And to do all of these things, even though people speak about the tightness in the international community, we are expecting, and we will certainly request of our bankers to give us a little breathing space so that we can set a new parameter and a new paradigm on how countries are to be run, how the resources of the people are to be managed, so that we can do the things we need to do to get our country up and running again. So we look out for those people in the sensitive areas. And we would want to do that without imposing any additional heavy burdens on our citizens and residents. We must, however, seek to reduce wastage and excesses in government, even as we seek to narrow the debt to GDP ratio and to reduce our recurrent budget deficits as soon as we are able to design a budget. In our campaign, we committed to reducing taxes where possible so that we could increase the circulation of money in our economy. Some people have said it cannot work. But I say this to you: if we do some minor trimmings and begin a slow process of having more money so that people can spend more, that we can see the beginning of an upturn in economic activity in Nevis. And if incrementally that happens month after month, year after year, then that can blossom into geometric proportions for our people and for our country. We committed to reducing the surcharge on electricity to ease the pressure on you, my fellow Nevisians. We will keep this pledge, and by the grace of God, by the next billing cycle in February, you will see that being reflected ladies and gentlemen, in our people-centered policies set out in our manifesto. We committed to reducing the salaries of the new administration by 10%. Reduce allowances of members of boards, and also reduce the size of the board. So my fellow ministers, you will experience that 10% reduction even before you start to work. But our rationale must be this: if you never had it, you don't miss it. Simple philosophy. What you never had, you cannot miss. So if they were expecting, now I know this is not expecting, not if they had, because they don't have it yet. They're going to get 90%. 10% reduction. Not just for the ministers, but for myself as well. Because we have to lead by example. the initial small savings made could be applied to some more pressing needs, as it is my and your administration's intention, as I said earlier, to lead by example, to manage the resources of the people for the benefit of the people. Now, we also commit ourselves to work in collaboration and in cooperation with the federal government. I was asked that questions many times. It is not a difficult thing to do. And clearly, one does not have to be contentious. But if there are differences of opinion or differences of policy, it is possible, I believe, for the Nevis administration and the federal government to work those differences out, knowing that we have our people to serve and that we ought not to allow our people to be taxed into poverty. And I say this, I recognize that the task ahead is going to be a huge task, or is a huge task. I also recognize that the challenges to get rid of that huge task ahead of us will be difficult. But if you don't do something about a difficult situation, it just becomes more difficult. And I don't know if you know the story of the drip, drip, tap. It will drip on iron, it will drip on concrete, soft as water is. But if you leave it long enough, it digs a hole. And we will take that huge challenge and we will chip away, bit by bit. Those little 10% which we will take, they will be part of the drip to dig away at the problem. And the little reduction in the surcharge, month after month, will also help to be part of that water dripping on the concrete or on the iron. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday I had an almost 2-hour meeting with the IMF team which visited St. Kitts and Nevis. They were here yesterday in Nevis to discuss with us our financial state, to look at how we can move forward. And I would say this about the team. We tried not to dwell on the situation as it is. Our thrust was to see, knowing what the situation is, how could we work together with them using their policy, making the little trimming of the sails here and there to make a brighter future and a more positive response to the challenges. And I want to say that the IMF team were quite helpful, and we look forward to working with them so that we can tailor our policies, our financial policies, in such a way that our people are the beneficiaries of those policies. We have to look at what we can do and not at what has been. And I want to say to you today, as we have taken the oaths of office, and as we have asked God to direct us, I know that we can and we will. Let me, however, warn that it will not happen overnight. It's a slow process. Even if the process downhill was fast, the process uphill is going to be a little slower. But it's going to be sure and steady. And I want to say to you, thank you for your trust in us. Thank you for endorsing our new CCM administration. Thank you for your support, for your prayers and trust. And we will do what is best to restore our country, because our country needs restoration. Our country also needs healing. And it is through that healing that we will also seek to restore our country. The God who has brought us thus far will never leave us. If we follow wise counsel, wise principles, if we follow truth and justice, as we seek to serve our people. That must be the underlying thrust of what we do. It is my intention, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to give you a full statement on the state of affairs of Nevis sometime next week, when we shall have had time to look at what is and also do some analysis. But I say this to you, it is a commitment that we bring to the job, that you, the people who have given us this opportunity, this privilege, that we will do all in our power to make sure that things are better year on year. And as we stand at this crossroads, as we stand at this point of new beginnings, we ask God to direct our decisions, to chart a new course for all of us in this fair land. Chart a new course for all the people, whether you are in division, visiting, or what. Whether you are young, senior, whether you are physically or mentally challenged, this country belongs to us, and therefore all of us must be treated with respect. And I think in doing that, we shall be able to create or recreate a new harmonious society of Nevis. Ladies and gentlemen, let us never forget that people still matter more. I thank you for your support. I thank you for your attention. But I pray that God will bless us as we step out on this new journey to make a better day, make a brighter day for all of us now and for our posterity. May God bless us all. Thank you very much.